This is Obabatunde from SWAT, and you're listening to Rave It Up. Why's it taking you so long to get to us?
Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with Folk and Americana artist Derek Vanderhorst. He has just released a debut album called Wildflower, so we have a talk to him all about that, as well as his previous Hollywood career as a sound designer and re-recording mixer for film and TV. We also talked to him about how he got through stage 4 neck and head cancer. There's so much to talk about today, so let's get into it now. Before we get into today's interview, we would like to give a shout out to our Patreons, Irene, Bev, and Michael. If you haven't heard of Patreon before, it is a great way to support us and keep us running and improving. You pick a membership tier that suits you and your budget per month, and in return for supporting us, we'll give you behind-the-scenes content and free stuff. You don't have to give much either. You can be a part of our Patreons for as little as $4 a month. Just visit patreon.com/raveitup. You can even donate through PayPal if you don't trust other sites. You can do so just through our email, raveituptv@gmail.com. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We appreciate anything you can do to support us. Now, let's get into this interview. Derek, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on our show today. How are you going today?
Doing really good. Thanks for having me on.
You are so welcome. I cannot wait to talk about your whole life journey, your career. But since this is your first time on the show, I think it only makes sense to start from the beginning, right? To get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today. So I first heard that you were first introduced to music at the age of 5 with piano lessons. Were your parents into music too, or was it just something that they needed to chuck you in, like an extracurricular activity?
Well, grandfather was a street performer in Lebanon and Syria.
Wow.
Yeah, and then met my grandmother at a very young age, and then here I am. How's that? My mom didn't play. My parents didn't play.
Yeah, but the grandparents did.
Got a lot of music around us, yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. That's a good place to start, isn't it? When you grow up with that, it's like all you ever know, right? Yeah. Well, then you embrace guitar and mandolin and the banjo in your teens. Did you ever think of it as a career, though, when you were younger? Were there any other careers that you wanted to pursue that we might actually be a bit surprised at?
So I went to a super religious evangelical school with like 100 kids from kindergarten through 12th grade. So all I knew, and I had to wear like blue pants and white, red, or blue button-down shirt with collars and an American flag tie, which sounds super cool till you're taking a bus ride with all the normal kids in town. So all I wanted to do was not wear a tie for a living. I was like, whatever that is what I'm going to do.
Did you always think it was in the creative field?
Yeah, I was like, I have to be in the creative field because I could not, I couldn't put on a straight tie or wear polyester pants. Yeah, I knew
so it
that.
wasn't about being, not being in an office 9 to 5. It was about not wearing a tie.
It really was. For me, at a young age, I decided that and got in trouble for that when they asked when I was young, what do you want to be? And I was like, anything where I don't have to dress like this. So, I got in a lot of trouble. But I was thinking my family, doctors and lawyers. So I got pushed that direction and thought, maybe medical school. And then I started playing guitar and then all bets were off.
Did you actually go down that path too? Did you study any medical or being a lawyer or anything? No.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sure they were a bit disappointed.
Nope, nothing exciting. I took a political science class in college, and I think the teacher was like some crazy communist or something, but he like just flipped every idea on its head. And I was like, oh, I just got to quit school and go do music. So I quit for a bit, moved to San Francisco, started a band. And then my grandmother was dying. She's like, oh, you got to finish school before I die. And so went back and finished over, because you can't I mean, it's grandma. You gotta, right?
So you
It's
finished the political science degree,
no,
was
no.
it?
I got a music degree.
Oh, okay, good, good, good. I was like, it
Prefer music.
doesn't sound like you.
No, 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 no. Got a music degree, recording engineering, recording arts, and then went back to LA and ended up in film.
Wow. Such an amazing journey because also I did read as well you toured with the bands Leaf and the Rosemaries and became a solo artist back in the 90s. I'd love to know
Yes,
because you know you've been around for a long time now, decades and decades.
I'm
How do
pretty
you
old.
find no, that's not what I meant. I know.
No, but it's true.
Experience, Derek, experience.
I'm pretty experienced.
How did you find the competition in the industry back then compared to today? Did you find it a lot easier? Because it seems like these days everybody wants to be a singer, everybody wants to be in a band.
That's a really good question with a not easy answer. Back then, it was bands were signed to major record labels, and a lot of it was age, look. They would kind of groom you almost
Mm.
to look like something, sound like something, be like something. We were very kind of British pop, like the Sundays, the Smiths, the Cure, that kind of sound. Um, and if you were my age back then trying to get into music, it was a non-starter. It
Mm.
was very difficult. So I think back then, like you're young and you don't know anything, and everything is super fun and easy. And so you just like, oh, let's go play shows. Let's rehearse. We rehearsed every day and tried to play every day. Like, because that's what we love to do.
Mm.
So, but now if I was to try and start like a pop band or something, like I could actually do it. Right? I mean, people, young people are way more open. Everything is kind of available to you. People complain about Spotify and the internet and all these things, but it's really like I remember coloring in cassette tape covers and trying to pass them out one at a time. We
Mm.
don't really have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
We,
definitely has
we have
made
the
it
whole
easier.
world. I mean, I'm talking to you across the world, literally via a computer. Like things are a lot different now. So I think it's a lot easier now.
Mm.
There's a lot more, I guess 60,000 songs a day uploaded to Spotify.
Wow, is it
There's
that
a
many?
lot. Yeah, that's the statistic I read. I
Yeah.
should probably verify that, but I think it's really close. So it's hard to wade through and break through that. But I think if you're like honest with your music and you have something to say and you kind of have a lane to focus,
Mm.
um, I think there's a good road for people to pursue it still.
And as you mentioned with like this interview, we're talking on other side of the world together right now in real time. That the great thing is you can promote your music just in the comfort of your own home or your own studio without having to travel around the world on all the, primetime TV shows and everything.
Yeah. NBC is the only thing I've had to travel for. That was
Mm.
the only interview I've had to be in person for. Everything else we're doing, radio shows, everything else is this.
Yeah.
So
Definitely
you
made
bring
my
a
life easier
microphone,
too.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you work from home or are you in a studio?
Yeah, yeah, I'm working from home for now, which is great, and I'm loving it. Like you can just do whatever you want till the time that you need to do your interview.
Yeah. So it does, I mean, it's given us the gift of time if you choose it. I mean, I know a
Mm.
lot of people who are working right now are working 18-hour days from home. And I was guilty of that too. I had a studio in my home when
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
working on films and I would work 7 days a week. And
Yeah, well, that's
yeah,
that's what I have. Studio in my own home, and it's lovely. Instead of going to
yeah,
travel to a studio, which I love.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's great
Do you
these
miss the
days too.
connection with people or do you get enough doing the interviews and things?
Sorry.
Do you miss the connection with people in real life or doing the interviews like this
A little bit
enough?
of both. Like, I like the flexibility of doing it at home, and you can fit, maybe a couple of interviews in a day. But I do miss the whole. There's nothing like that one-on-one connection in person as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And then just like having an engineer and having other people to talk to.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Have a
yeah.
cameraman, and everything's just a lot smoother and easier.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're your own tech. your own
Yep.
camera person, your
Well,
own
that's what I was
audio
right at the
person.
beginning too. Like 12 years ago when I started. I started just by myself. It's my own business and had to do it all by myself. So it's like going back to my roots, really.
Well, 12 years ago was a lot harder.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I've
Okay,
I've got this
cool.
Zoom thing down pat now, and all the recording devices to make sure there has been one interview where it decided to like die my main recording thing. So I was like, I need 3 or 4 things recording at the same time, just in case.
Wow. So for all the nerds who listen, like myself, um, what do you record on? Like what platforms do you use to record?
Well, I record obviously through this microphone into Zoom, and then I record on Camtasia. I've got a camera on me, and then also recording at the moment on my phone. But I also do have a little portable microphone I usually use too. But the battery was flat, unfortunately, so I was like, "That's all right. We'll use something else."
Cool. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
I was
I,
just
I'm,
curious.
I hope
It,
you nerded up just then. I hope I made your day.
you did. Yes.
And it's great
So
these days too, as you mentioned. Like back in the day, you had to be signed to a record label or something. Now these days, there's so many independent artists as well. They're releasing their own music through things
yeah.
like Spotify. There's independent music labels. I feel like it's making it way easier. But as you said, you kind of got to put your music out there and try to stand out from the others on those
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah. And I think kind of the way to do that is play live,
Mm,
right? Like
yeah,
have
start
live
touring around,
performance.
right?
Yeah, you kind of have to, which is difficult. That's the difficult thing.
Did you do
Uh,
any like busking or anything back in the day, or has it always been on a stage?
oh no, I do whatever. I'll play an open mic. I don't care. I will show up and play like somebody's 8-year-old birthday party. I don't
Yeah,
care.
that's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll go to the beach and play like busk. I don't, yeah. I
Mm,
started that way in San Francisco 30 years ago
yeah.
because I moved there with $100. I didn't know better, which is great when you're young, right? You move there with no money. And so I was like, oh
Is that a
man.
good thing, is it? I didn't know that.
No, it wasn't good. I was sleeping on a bench for a better part of 3 months. But I
Wow.
would busk every day and make a little money and go to the YMCA and shower and apply for jobs and
Mm.
everything worked out.
It sure did. As you said, you ended up in film, which I really want to talk about. Because, unfortunately, though, film did make you put down your guitar for like 20 years. That's really
Yeah.
sad. Did it all
Yeah.
come naturally to you when you picked the guitar up again, or did you have to
Oh,
maybe do a bit of lessons?
it was a do-over. And we have now, we were talking about technology, like the best guitar players in the world are on YouTube.
Oh, yes. YouTube
Like
is like the new university, isn't it?
it totally is. I was like, oh man, I hope I find some good, like I need to practice on. And then like the best bluegrass players, the best, like every player that you idolize is going, hey, here's how I do this on guitar. It's crazy.
They had to
So,
do the YouTube
so
tutorials. I
I
like
did
it.
I did like a 2 year you like deep dive into YouTube just to learn to finger pick because my music changed a lot as you do in life. Like I started
Yeah.
listening to it's like the Ava Brothers, Old Crow Medicine Show, and then all the guys with beards. I kind of started listening to. Um, I
Gotta
think
go with the
that's a
guys with the
genre
beards.
now. They call it Americana, but it's just guys with beards.
Guys with beards. I never
Yeah,
thought about that.
and it really is, right?
It
Like
is. It
like
is.
Gregory Allen, Isaac Hop, guys like all these amazing artists.
Mm.
Um, and so my music kind of shifted in what I wanted to play and write.
Yeah, I'm glad it went down that path, and I definitely got more questions about that and your latest projects as well. But for those who don't know as well, you had an incredible Hollywood career as a sound designer and re-recording mixer for film and TV. I know this
Yeah.
might be a bit of a hard question. It's like picking your favorite baby or whatever, but what was your favorite part of the job? Or like a
Um,
favorite project you worked on?
so a lot of favorite projects. No Country for Old Men would be high on the list.
Yeah.
Um, the I did some X-Men movies, things like that, Wolverine that were super fun.
Wow.
But the people, because um, I hope I don't offend anyone, but we're all kind of like failed musicians who ended up in sound to make a living. Like a lot of Berkeley graduates, Berkeley, Boston, which is a big music school here. And so it's just like the people you got to meet with and hang out with, and that was the best part of the job for sure. The people
Yeah,
I
great friendships and connections.
Yeah, and everyone says Hollywood weird, whatever, but it just in my side of the industry, it's just a lot of, you know, like tech heads and nerds and like musicians and
You
that kind of
suited
thing.
well.
Yeah, so it was perfect for me.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
because I was one of the first, to like delve into programming on basic. That's before your time. Like, so I've always been around computers and things. And I came in right at the end of where they would use these big film machines with like a literal tape to put the audio on, or a 2-inch tape um, into the digital world. And so it gave me kind of I was in a really good place because I understood the digital side of it. And that got me working pretty quickly.
That's really cool. You got to experience both.
Yeah, I came in at the tail end. I did 3 movies, I think,
All
the
on
old
tape.
way. And then after that it was pretty much all digital. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, I
Yeah.
also did hear you worked on the movie Hidden Figures, and
I
I
did.
love that movie. What was your job in that film? What is
The
there
whole film.
specific scenes that you worked on, or?
So I was the supervising sound editor. So I started on the film talking a lot with NASA because I wanted to get a lot of the old recordings of not only the ship, but in the beeps and the control rooms, um, but also just like the guys talking. And I
Mm.
wanted to, so they gave me a lot of recordings in the control booth, and I would kind of write those out, and then we would figure out like how to script those for the film.
Wow.
Um, and then this might be a terrible segue, but right, like, so a film takes about like that takes about 8 months start to finish in just the audio and picture editing post side of it.
Wow.
It's a long process. And you go through many versions of it. You test it with audiences and things. So we were about 2 months in, and I was diagnosed with head and neck cancer.
Mm. I was going to
So
bring that
it
up.
kind of put the brakes on that movie for a bit. Um, and Ted Melfi was the director, and I had to call him and Peter, the picture editor, and say, "Look, I was just diagnosed with head and neck cancer. I need to go and focus on um, all of this." And the treatments were, I thought I would work through the treatments, but it was definitely impossible
Mm.
to work treatments. So, and we can come back to that, but so I took about 3 months, 4 months off, and they let me come back and do the final mix on the movie.
Oh, that's nice. So you
Yeah,
got to be a part of the end part. Do you ever watch
yeah.
the movie now and go have bad, I guess, association with it because of that?
No, I have a good association with it
Well, you
because
survived, so that's a good
I
association.
survived, and I was in bed for 3 months through the treatments, and I needed something to make me feel normal again.
Mm.
I definitely went back to work too early. It was really hard physically, but it made me feel like a normal person a little bit again
Yeah.
after, you know, suffering like that. Yeah.
Mm. Well, you were. They kind of called you too. I loved this when I was reading your bio, like the go-to mixer. That must feel very, very nice. Is this more like a natural skill for you, or is there actually such a process involved to get to the point that you were at, where you were the go-to mixer?
I wouldn't call me go-to, but some people came to me for sure. Um, I was definitely like I fixed a lot of projects that were having a hard time. So I would like that was kind of why I started my own business, because I would get a lot of calls like, "Hey, can you come in? We're having issues on this movie." It's definitely a thing where you need to be mentored. There's no way to graduate from university and then start on a large level like a Hollywood film or television show and know what you're doing.
Mm.
Just like dealing with clients, like that's a whole thing in and of itself, because you've got producers, directors, studio executives, picture editors, picture assistants, music composers, music supervisors. So you need to learn just how to navigate all of that.
Like you need a
And
business degree just to handle all that.
it's crazy because it's one of the few jobs where you have, you know, if I'm doing a big Fox movie or Paramount movie, I might have 20 people behind me, like
Wow.
yelling out notes all the time. And who has a job where you have people sit behind you and just kind of yell towards you
Mm.
as you're working? It's a weird job. Like, so
Not
it's
20
not for
people
everyone.
anyway. Usually it's just one boss
Yeah.
yelling at you.
Yeah. You usually just have one, but he's not usually sitting behind you the whole time,
Mm.
or her. But it is the case in mixing a film. So you have to learn that, like, okay, what's the important notes? Who's the thing? What's, you know, so you kind of learn this to be on the stage with all these like really super highly creative people. And then you need to learn how to organize like 1,000 tracks of sound, so it makes sense.
Mm.
Uh, so when they go, that one beep right there, we got to get rid of that. If you're waiting through 1,000 tracks, you have to know how to navigate to those things quickly.
Wow.
Um, so just organizational, and then there's the whole creative process that you kind of need to learn as well.
Sounds
So
like still a really cool job though.
it's a super cool job. It's like music. I describe it when people are like, how does that work? And it's like, well, if you have music on, it's a much smaller scale, right? So you might have 15, 16 tracks of drums, 4 tracks, 5 tracks of guitars, maybe 8 tracks of vocals and backup vocals, some keyboards, some bass, and then whatever, you know, banjo, guitar, whatever else you have on your. So you might end up with 80 or 100 tracks.
Wow.
And you have still have to get that into 2 speakers, right? Your left and right.
Mm.
I know that's expanding now, but that's so you have to get 100 down to 2, and film is getting 1,000 down to 2.
Oh my gosh.
It's just it's a big thing to manage.
I hope
Yeah,
everyone now from after this interview goes and watches a movie and has real respect for
it
it.
is crazy, right? Because you like people think they don't even think about it because they don't understand the process. Like I don't understand the process of my
They're just
car. I
looking
just
at the
drive.
acting, right?
Yeah, yeah, or looking at the acting, whatever. But there's no sound when it comes off the set except for the actor's dialogue. That's
Mm.
it. And then everything else you have to add into the movie.
Yeah.
So all the like airs and winds and crickets and birds and the stream going by and the jet flying by and the guy like mowing and the people talking in the background in the restaurant, to your hand down on the table, like none of that is recorded. So we have to re-record all of that stuff to picture, and pictures changing rapidly. So you have thousands of, maybe hundreds of thousands of sounds that you have to keep conforming into the new versions of picture. And it's a big like management job as well as a
Mm.
creative.
No wonder it takes a long time, right?
It takes a while to learn, yeah. And so I
So,
try and mentor. I was mentoring at least 2 people a year,
wow.
um,
Good for
and
you.
then
Paying it
having
forward.
them move on because it takes a year and a half of really mentoring someone before um, it starts clicking and they start understanding all the moving pieces. So I
Mm.
would try and spend, you know, a year or two and then hire. Most of them I hired.
Wow. That's
They're,
fantastic. Good. Paying
the
it
young
forward. I
people
love it.
are amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and young people are like they blow my mind
Well, they
how
got the
smart
passion
they
for
are.
it. They go in and they want to prove it to you.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they're like really smart and thoughtful. There's not a lot of ego. It's really like the new generation is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think from now on, especially for the audience, if you watch a movie now, sit down and watch all the credits because you know Derek's name is probably in there and all the other people that helped him. So
Right,
yes, gotta
right.
show that respect,
Hundreds,
don't we?
maybe thousands to make a movie.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
heaps. You're just like
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there going, "Oh my god, there's so many names," but you got to think that they all worked on it.
All worked really hard on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to your diagnosis as well, because I'm sure we can all relate to this part of your life. You got buried in work way too much, where you didn't even think about it. Especially in this, hustle bustle world now, we're all kind of doing that. So to give an idea to our audience, you were working, what, 7 days a week, sometimes 12 to 15-hour days in a highly stressful environment, as we just all heard about.
Yeah, very stressful environment. That's the key, right?
With
So I
days
would
like that,
wonder,
were you looking after your health at all? I hope so.
no, they on the worst days they would just put us up in hotels because we only had 5 hour turnaround between shifts. Like
Oh
we
my
would make
goodness.
till 2 in the morning and then we'd have to be back by 8. So by the time you get to your hotel and get to sleep, you have 5 hours of sleep. So they would put us up in hotels. That's just so we wouldn't have to drive the 20 minutes to home or 25 minutes because we were so tired.
Mm.
After day after day. And that happened on a few movies. I hoping it's getting better now. Because people like through all the lockdowns and things maybe have a little more balance, but I don't know. Maybe not. I don't
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I was like working too much. I would take one or two projects on. They would always kind of overlap. And it would get hectic. And I had a lump growing out of my neck for probably 6 months before I even addressed it.
Really? Wow. Then
I
why didn't
was,
you go check it out earlier?
I think it was time, right? I was on a film and a picture editor said to me, "Hey, if you die, it's on me." Because I was like, "Oh, I should get this checked out." And he was kidding.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to say.
It's a weird, I know, because who would think it's cancer? You're thinking it's just like a, so he didn't say it in a mean way at all, but it was just like, that's how busy we get and how, focused we get on our work.
Mm.
And he's actually one of my favorite people to work with to this day. He's an amazing guy. He actually showed up at my house every day to walk my dogs
Oh,
while I
that's
was going through
beautiful.
treatment. I know. So that story sounds way worse than it. He was like,
He
it's
was
just
being
like,
supportive.
it's more of a reflection of like, that's how busy we are. Like,
Yeah.
oh, if you can't get it checked out now, we're too busy. You have to wait till, it's just, that's how the industry is a little bit.
Mm.
Um,
You were told you might lose your voice or even die. Like, that's not something you want to hear. And the chemo
no,
you're going to receive destroys your hearing too. So, for someone whose job is hearing, loves music and singing, and obviously talking too, because I've been loving your stories today, can you
yeah.
share with us how scary that was? And especially like getting through that mentally. And then obviously the treatments, because I heard that that was just so obviously painful. You couldn't even swallow a drop of water at some stage.
Yeah, it's I don't know if a lot of people, and that's kind of why I like doing music and interviews is to talk about this
Yeah, definitely raise
because
awareness to the fact people need to get
yeah,
checked out early.
it's become an epidemic. And so the same HPV 16, which I think 90% of people have, gives women cervical cancer and gives men head and neck cancer. And women can also get head and neck cancer, but it's very rare to be caused from HPV 16. It usually is cervical. So yeah, the doctor brought me in I had a chemo lead oncologist rather than a surgeon, which I was very lucky because a lot of people end up with a surgeon and they start cutting you open right away. And it's for this cancer, it's not recommended or needed, but it's still kind of the practice. So my chemo oncologist said, look, the chemo is going to be can affect your hearing. So there's a good chance of partial total deafness. We're not sure. And I said, I do sound for a living. And his name is Dr. Glaspie. He's at UCLA. And he is one of the head researchers in the US for actually breast cancer, but for chemotherapy treatments specifically. And he said, give me a week, let me run some numbers and do some research and see what we can come up with for the chemo treatments. And then he also said to me, he goes, the radiation is going to be just take 100 ball bearings, heat them up to 1,000 degrees, and gargle those for the next 3 months because
Ugh.
that's going to be your next 3 months. There's a good chance that you'll survive. I think it was like 80% chance of survival with this
Oh,
treatment.
that's high. That's good.
20 out of 100 die, so that's bad. but 80 out of 100 live, so that's good. And so I said, well, if you told me it was the easiest treatment in the world, but it was the other way, like 20% live and 80% die, I said I'd probably choose the harder treatment. I didn't know at the time how hard it was actually.
Mm.
So we, discussed the treatments and how we would go forward. And the radiation gives you third-degree burns inside and outside of your neck and tongue. Yeah, just like getting a massive sunburn every day.
Oh my goodness.
The treatments are every day for 2 months. In the chemo, he did come up with whatever he did. I lost no hearing, so we went with I think a lighter amount more often is how we did it. So I would go in for 6 hours and get my infusions but just once a week, or I think it was once a week we would do the infusions. But
Wow,
the
and it was
amount
still
he
that
used
bad.
saved my hearing. Yeah.
Well, I'm good. I'm glad you can hear me
So
today and you can do music.
that's right. Now I did come out of it after the radiation treatments. I lost my voice um, probably 5 weeks into it, where I could kind of whisper. Um, and then 6 weeks I couldn't even speak. And even to eat or drink, like you said, water, I would have to take. And this sounds crazy, but they would give me liquid morphine that I would swish in my mouth to kind of deaden the pain a little bit, so I could drink Ensures, and I'd have to water down Ensure because it's so thick it wouldn't pass through my throat. Um, and if you lose too much weight, they want to give you a feeding tube, which means you'll lose your swallow muscles, which means you'll have a feeding tube for the rest of your life. There's a high percentage chance that you might be on a feeding tube your whole life. And so I would like just force myself to drink 3 Ensures every day. I did the math on the calories. And then I was like, okay, I'll end up losing 44 pounds through the treatment. And about week 6.5 into the treatment, I was getting to the point where they were going to start talking to me about a feeding tube. So I would wear shorts and flip-flops to each session until then. And then I started wearing jeans, the heavy belt buckle, and boots. And then the next week I started packing my boots with rocks. And so I started weighting myself down because I'm like, they are not giving me a feeding tube. I am not going on that road. And I've somehow got through it. I was like 3 pounds lighter than I was supposed to be by the end of it.
Wow.
But we didn't do a feeding tube.
Was there some days you were just like, this is just not worth it? I just want to
Every
die.
day
Just take me.
every day from week 4 on.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
side effects are insane. I won't even describe them because it's horrifying. But just, I mean, from things like growing an extra tooth out of my gum sideways, like from the radiation, to like just things I won't even describe. So that I work with a lot of head and neck cancer um, patients now, kind of guiding them through all the crazy stuff that can and does happen through the treatments.
Well,
Yeah.
I really thank you for actually being so open to talk about this stuff and how and what you went through, because it is probably obviously not a really great time of your life, but we're so
Yeah.
glad that you survived and are able to tell the story.
Yeah, it was horrible, horrible treatments, painful. But the crazy part that you find out going through cancer, and this is the life-changing part, I think, is that your friends show up to drive you, and then your friends just show up to sit there, even if you're not talking, you're just sleeping. Like family shows up, you know. It was
Mm,
amazing. I had a friend come out from Colorado who just like came and just hung out every day. So people like
beautiful.
stop their lives to come and help me.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
nothing in their lives was as important as you at that stage.
Which is amazing, right? Like, because you never think we're so self-sufficient, like in our lives. It's like, oh, I don't need help. I can do it on my own.
Mm.
Until you find out you can't. And then, yeah, it was a pretty amazing thing having all the help.
Yeah, you
And
find out who your true friends and family are.
you do. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, in a previous interview too, I love what you said about what your doctor told you. You can either go into a total depression or be grateful. And you chose grateful. So, do these words kind of go through your head still to this day? I'm sure any other challenge in life now just seems like a breeze.
And like every time I start getting upset with things, I like reflect back on it. I'm like, wait a minute. Like this this isn't really a problem.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Um, it's tiny. But I do wake up every day and hope and try to do something cool like this. I'm like, I just want to do something that makes me appreciate life every day. Because I definitely haven't, like, when you're young, you're like, oh, yeah, I got my whole life in front of me. And you don't think about time and think about your place in the world. And
Mm,
then when you go through something like that, you're like, man, if I'm on this side of the dirt tomorrow, I got to do something cool again.
yeah.
Because like, who knows, right?
Mm.
We're here for this minute, and that's kind of it. So it's good to stay present in those moments and try and do something good for the world, for yourself, for yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can
Yeah.
come on the show anytime to
Oh,
talk
thank
about
you.
it. So,
Good, because I love coming on and talking.
yes, if it makes you feel good, come on anytime, Derek.
I mean, it's almost as good as the playing, right? The music.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on being, was it 5 years cancer free
5 years
now?
now. Yeah.
Yeah. And you knew music
I
could no
passed
longer,
the gate.
you
Yeah.
passed the gates. Yes, exactly. But you knew music couldn't take a backseat of your life anymore. So we're really, really glad that you decided it's an important part of your life and you needed to, start doing it. I loved your quote, things take a left turn, you decide what's important again. Beautiful. So hundreds of hours of vocal therapy. Can you please tell us about that? Was that really painful especially the first session when you couldn't even talk?
Yes, it was crazy. Because I would it was maybe 6 months or a year out where I could kind of start talking again, but I would, and I was trying not to work so much, and I started playing guitar again. So I would sit down and try and sing a song, and I would just start choking. And um, I thought, you know what? Now I'll try and get a vocal coach. And then at that point, COVID started entering the picture. So I was unsure how to do a vocal coach. So I started Googling it. And as it turns out, there's online vocal lessons.
I know, there's everything online now.
Everything online. And it was super cool. I found a great teacher who went through like he was a professional singer and got nodes and had to quit singing, and then found a coach to kind of guide him back without surgery. And
Wow.
so he's really good at teaching and kind of restoring the vocal cords. Um, it's like a very medicinal kind of practice the way he does it. And I just found him on something called voicelessons.com.
Mm.
His name's Alan. And if anyone wants his information or any other information, my website, can I mention my website?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask at the end.
Okay. Um,
Tell us
it's
now.
Derek V Music, which is DEREKV for Vanderhorst, music.com. And you can email me there. And I get a lot of people emailing me about cancer or music or whatever there. So it's a cool way to connect with people.
Absolutely. And
And
if
I
we can
try to
get more
respond
more
every
jobs for
day.
him too.
Yeah, I go there every day and just try and respond to every email and like
Oh, that's
thoughtfully
beautiful.
respond to them. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody knows that it is from you. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone is from me. And uh yeah, so he worked with me and we started, and I had started writing songs, and I was like, I I've got this guy who's gonna sing on the album. I've written all these songs. So as soon as we can get back together again in person, I want to record these songs. And Alan goes, no, you're gonna sing on the songs. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, yeah, yeah, you are. And we went from literally like one line choking to a year and a half later. I started recording the album and I was able to get through all 11 songs, 3 takes each in one day
Wow. That's a
without,
huge
it was
accomplishment.
huge. It was huge. I didn't even know I could do that.
I thought
So
it was 13 songs. It was 11, was it?
is it 13?
Oh,
I may have
I
put
have
13
13
on.
written down here.
I have so many songs. I went through a phase where I wrote a song a day
Wow.
for I think it was 6 months.
I don't know how you didn't get writer's block.
I don't that most of them were terrible, but it's the exercise of doing, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's like if you write a terrible song, it's okay, but you can't be judgy about it. And then maybe the next one's better, and then the next 10 are terrible, and the next one's good. Like so, I didn't try and write a bunch of good songs. I just
Mm.
set out to write.
And are you
Um,
still taking those vocal lessons now to this day, or
4 days a week.
wow,
And we
four
still have a
days a week?
lot. We have a lot of work to do still
Mm.
because my falsetto, because of the damage to the vocal cords and everything, we're starting to get more falsetto and kind of bring the high register back to because they all have to work together.
Mm.
Um, like if you listen to Steve Perry from Journey, that guy is hitting like E notes above, like, two above middle C in full voice. And how is he doing that? And he's able to bring his falsetto and his chest voice together to hit those notes.
Yeah.
So it's just training the kind of three muscles to all work together again.
Mm.
So we
Wow.
saw, it's gonna be more time,
Yeah, your
but
singing voice is going to be even more amazing.
I don't know if it's gonna be amazing because it does sound a little Tom Waits roughed up now, but we're working on it. Yeah.
I actually like that fact, you know?
Yeah, I do too, actually. It gives it a little character, I think, right?
Well, that was something I really liked about, and I was going to bring it up. Your song "Baby," I loved that because it was a bit of a softer tune, and it actually really suited your voice well. So release some more like that.
Oh, good. I have a lot more like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. I was
it's
like, it was a great song for like to do a waltz to or something. And as a dancer
yeah,
myself, I'm like, oh, I love that.
and it's a 3/4. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's and it's like everyone has a different favorite who talks about it, but that one comes up the most.
yeah.
And that one almost didn't make the album. That
Well,
was
we're
the
glad it did.
I had recorded like 4 other songs, and then I was like, they're not really working. So I went back another day and recorded Baby.
Yeah. Well, I liked Baby. I liked Shake, Shake, Shake and
That was the
Can't Fall
very
in Love
first
with
song
You.
I wrote. Shake, Shake, Shake. I wrote walking the dog with my girlfriend at the time, now my fiance,
Oh,
Jay.
congratulations.
Thank you. We were walking, and then I just started singing that. And that's what got me playing guitar again.
Oh,
Like,
good. Brought the
like
passion
in
back.
writing. Yeah, I was like, because I was doing a little bit, but then we were walking and I like had that idea. I couldn't sing it because my throat was still so messed up. But like I sang it really low and just kind of, and then I was like, oh, I should go write that song. And that was the first song that I wrote start to finish.
And Can't Fall in Love with You, I loved as well because it has that, incredible and really cool rhymes. Has songwriting always come naturally to you like that?
No, no. It used to be so forced. Um, that can I tell what that song's about? Because
Yeah.
it's opposite of your friends and family being there for you. I was married at the time, and like I think she was having a hard time with, seeing somebody like that is definitely difficult. But she couldn't be there for me in the way I needed her to be.
Mm.
Um, and that is what that song is about.
Oh, sorry that
Yeah,
happened for you.
but it turned out all right.
Oh, now
Yeah,
you got another beautiful, beautiful lady.
yeah, I do for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
when's the
so
wedding? Do you have a date already set or?
no, we have an idea of going to Italy, March or April.
Oh, It's gonna come up soon, so
It is. It
good
is.
luck.
So we're going to Portugal in September, and then we're going to look at that. But and maybe do a Portugal wedding next year. But I think we're going to do Italy because it's both our favorite countries. Although I haven't
It's
been to
beautiful.
Australia or New Zealand,
Come over.
I really like that is so high on my list.
Oh, we got some beautiful places to get married here too. So,
To do and to play, and I've been invited to play a couple times out there. I haven't been able to make it, but I would love to set up some shows out there and make it like a twofer.
well, if you want to, if you ever do come over, you let me know. All right, we'll do a chat in person.
I would love that.
Yeah, we'll put it on the to-do list.
Yes. Yeah, I will make it over there. That's not if it's
Yeah, exactly. It's not on the bucket list, it's on the to-do list because you've
It
got to do
is.
it.
And then I'm friends with do you know Phil Kogan? Did you ever
That
watch
sounds really
he
familiar.
has a show called The Amazing Race.
Oh, yeah. I haven't
And
actually I've not, probably all my fans are going to hate this. I haven't actually watched The Amazing Race, but I watch it here and there. You know when it pops up on TV?
mute this. I haven't either. I'm sorry. Phil. Uh,
Don't tell Phil.
I don't have television. I know that's weird, but
Wow, that's good. Focus on the music.
I look at movies all day long, and like I couldn't just come home and watch movies or watch TV.
Oh, and I'm sure
So
you couldn't watch it the way we all normal people watch it.
I definitely can. Like I love like just give me some stupid comedy, and I'm
Yeah.
all in. But it was just after long hours, that's the last thing you want to do is like because your eyes and ears are so tired.
Mm.
Um,
Like, I just want to go to sleep.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Or take a walk or do a yeah.
Yeah.
So Phil's from New Zealand, and we are both avid bikers. He's a lot better shape than I am, but we mountain bike together and stuff. And he's been trying to get me out to New Zealand because he has a big farm out there. His dad has a big farm out there.
Well, definitely do that.
So
You
we
only
want to
live
do that.
once, as you definitely know now.
Yes. So New
Yeah.
Zealand, Australia, I think I can hit those in the same trip if I do it for like a 6 week, six or
Oh,
eight.
we're very close. So a lot of
Yeah.
people classify New Zealand as Australia, which is not correct. They're
No,
their own thing.
I work with a lot of people from New Zealand, believe it or not.
Oh,
There's a
wow.
huge, like sound editors. Yeah. Um, I can think of 6 right now that I've worked with a
Yeah.
lot from New Zealand. Yeah. And Australia has a big post-production and film kind of emerging.
We sure do. It's getting bigger
Yeah.
and better now.
Yeah. Melbourne has some of the best stages in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I realized as well, I didn't mention to the audience, your album is called Wildflower. So everyone can go check it out. Debut album. And I obviously mentioned Baby, Shake, 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 and Can't Fall in Love with You. What is your favorite? Is there a favorite that you prefer, like performing, and then another one you prefer just recording?
Um, Can't Fall in Love is I've changed a bit for the performance, and it's definitely one of my favorites to perform.
Oh, even though it's like so personal.
Yeah, but it's because I get to tell stories before, and I get to talk about the head and neck cancer, and my shows end up becoming 40% story time and
Oh,
60% music.
I think that's what
Um,
everyone loves, isn't it? Because then they can connect with you more.
I do like, yeah, like I really enjoy telling the stories and talking about stuff, and yeah, it's good.
Oh,
So that's one
I
of my
love it too.
favorites. Every song that I write, and I try and do at least a couple songs a week, start to finish, are my favorite songs to play
Mm.
um, at the time, just because they're new.
Well, I was going to ask what else can we expect from you in the future? I'm guessing another album in the future and some new singles probably.
Yes, I don't know how the new world works. So if any young people are listening and need to help me with my social media, uh,
You might get a lot of people requesting now to help you.
please, please do. If you go and look at my social media, you'll be like, yeah, this guy needs some serious help.
Yeah.
I have a lot of songs. I think I'm going to release singles one
Mm.
at a time.
A lot of
Yeah,
people are doing that these days.
yeah. And I have a sync deal for film and television. So my sync agent wants me to just start kind of releasing songs so she can, have more to choose from or to sell to film and television, things like that. And honestly, like I ordered my album, my vinyl last December, and I still haven't received it.
Oh,
So at this point, I'm like, just do singles.
yeah.
It's a new time. I wanted one album for nostalgic reasons.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people are doing vinyls now. It's like the new thing. People would rather buy vinyls than the actual CD.
I get it. I have hundreds of CDs, and I literally give them out when people buy one of my hats. I'm like, here, take a CD, please.
It's taking up too much room in my house. Take it.
Yeah. I thought maybe you still needed CDs. You don't. Nobody wants one. Nobody who has a CD player.
Not
Like
many people anymore. Even
cars
laptops and stuff don't have most of
Yeah.
the CD players in it anymore. So it's just all
Yeah.
Spotify and streaming
It
or
is.
YouTube.
Yeah, or vinyl. Because people like that. And so I did cool like liner notes and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool making the vinyl. I
Are we
can't wait
making any video clips on YouTube soon too for some of the
Yeah.
songs?
whoever the young people are who are going to contact me, let's talk about
Let's talk about YouTube and some music videos.
let's talk about all of that. Yeah.
And if you ever do any tours, okay, especially internationally to Australia, New Zealand, let us know.
I will for sure.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
definitely plan on it.
I'll help you promote it.
Hired.
Yes,
You are
thank you.
Yes, see, this worked out great for me.
Absolutely. Great connections over here for you.
Yes. Yeah, it's high on my list, right? Like
Fantastic.
if I could go anywhere right now to tour, it would be. I have a friend, I don't know if you know Steve Poltz.
No.
He's a folk singer. But he was in a band in the 80s called the Rugburns, and then met this young lady named Jewel in San Diego, and then wrote her first album with her.
Oh, cute.
And yes, so they wrote I'm sure you've heard Jewel's first album, everyone has. His favorite place to play is Australia.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm glad you just weren't saying it then just because you were talking to me.
And no. He's like, he loves going to Australia. I think the visa thing gets in the way a bit because he wants to go more, but he's trying to figure out how to stay longer and things like that.
Yeah,
but he's a touring machine. That guy probably plays 250 nights a year, 300 nights a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you have to look after your health now, Derek, okay? So don't be doing that much.
Yes. I talked to a booking agent, and they're like, we need 270 nights a year. I go, I'm not 20.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't keep up with that.
No. So we didn't sign together.
No.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. You still want to make sure you're home and spending time with your fiance and
yes, 50, 100 nights. Yes, but 200. I mean, I can't do. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, like my late 20s, and I wouldn't even be able to do that. I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
It is a hard life for sure.
Yeah.
And she has a job, a pretty high profile job, so she can't just take off and go on tour with me whenever. But yeah, so I'm more of the right now I play maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. But I definitely am looking to up that and do more touring.
Hey, it's just grateful for any gig, right? And being able to perform live.
Always. Yeah. Honestly, like even if I have a couple weeks without a show, I'm like, I go down to the open mics.
Yeah. I still need to perform.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting rusty.
Yeah. Well, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview now, Derek, but as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
I would tell my 14-year-old self that life is not about work. I've always been super driven and always wanted, like, my whole philosophy, and I brought it to guitar too, so I shouldn't say that, but it's way overdo things so I can get better at them quicker. Like if something's supposed to take you 3 years, I want to be able to do it 20 hours a day and do it in 3 months. And it's a really unhealthy approach to life. Balance. I would think I would tell myself, be more balanced. And also, like, your crazy dreams are really, really important.
Mm,
you have to go for them, right?
absolutely. That's good
Yeah, because
advice for all of our listeners today, actually, not just the young people, everybody.
yeah, and that's what I like laying in bed for months. That's what I realized. I was like, my dream, like, because people are like, oh, is working in Hollywood your dream job? And I'm like, no, I have like stress nightmares about it. Like, you can't say job and dream to me
Yeah.
because I'm like, that's not a dream to go to work for me.
Yeah, yeah.
My dream is to do something like this, talking to you, talking to people, playing music, um, you know, doing
Yeah.
something bigger than myself in life.
Yeah, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be calling a dream a job.
I
They
don't
say,
get
if
that
if you love what
statement.
you do, you don't have to work a day in your life, right? So it shouldn't be a job
Yeah, yeah.
or
So
work.
yeah, so I'm doing much less of that and a lot more music now. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking to people. I love it.
Talking to people. Yes.
Now, is there anywhere else that we should go follow you as well? You mentioned your website before, but you also said you're terrible at social media. So, do you want people to go to social media?
Sure. The real Derek V music on Instagram.
Oh, perfect.
So I couldn't get Derek V music. There's like one guy many years ago who posted one thing, and I tried to contact him to see if I could get it, but I couldn't get
No.
Derek V music. So now I'm the real Derek V music because I saw somebody do that, the real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will
So
even go follow you today as well.
oh, thank you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
everyone else, come follow me. And I don't spam or do any like because I'm not good with social media,
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about that.
He like never checks it, guys.
You won't see too much from me.
He
I
checks
just
his
update.
emails though. That's a good
But I
thing.
do when I'm working on new songs. I do like to play a verse or chorus,
Oh,
so
cool.
y'all get to hear them first.
I will go check it out.
All right.
But thank you so much for coming on our show today, Derek. I really appreciate your time. I know we've gone over the 45 minutes, but I didn't want to stop you. You're giving us gold.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes, we did go over. That
Time
happens to me.
flies when you're having fun.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it, and hope to see you on your side of the planet very soon.
Yes, and I'll let you know when I'm over there again
Soon.
eventually. Haven't been there since like 2004, 2005, so it's been a long time.
Well, it's time to
I'll,
come. Yes.
I'll be back. I'll be back. And you're
All right.
welcome on the show anytime as well. So you don't even have to be here in Australia, but the great thing about Zoom, you can do it anytime.
I appreciate that. I'll come on your show and play live.
Oh, that would be nice. Next time. Next
We'll
time,
do a song.
indeed.
I'll do
Thanks,
it in
Derek.
person. All right. Take care. Bye.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, please visit our website, raveituptv.com. All the podcasts and videos are there for you to enjoy. And while you're there, please also check out our book, Knowing What I Know Now, as well as a mini ebook that I wrote last year called Staying Strong, Finding Inner Peace During Hard Times. And if you would like to further support us, me and my team at Rave It Up, please also visit patreon.com/Rave It Up. You can pick a membership tier that works with you and your budget for as little as $4 a month. It's like a coffee, right, guys? And in return, you receive bonus content and free stuff of Rave It Up. How cool is that? So please spread the word with your friends. But for now, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!